Hello cinephiles, my name is Glenn, and today we're talking about an absolute dumpster fire of a movie, 2004's The Stepford Wives. This absolutely terrible movie has a fantastic cast, including Nicole Kidman, Matthew Broderick, Christopher Walken, Glen Close, Bette Midler, other actors, and it totally misses the beat. Every single scene, you wish you were doing literally anything else but watching this movie. If you agree with me about this movie, tell me why below. And if you disagree, if this is your favorite movie, I'd love to hear why. So if you are unfamiliar, The Stepford Wives is actually based on a novel written in 1972 by Ira Levin, and this is actually, to my knowledge, the second film adaptation of this movie. The first one that came out in 75 actually did quite well and has a bit of a cult following. Watching this movie was a lot like watching a father lob underhand softballs to his son as his son misses and whiffs again and again and again and again. What is this movie about? Following a breakdown of epic proportions after a failed series of TV shows, a TV executive played by Nicole Kidman and her husband played by Matthew Broderick go to what seems like the perfect town, but as we know, anytime something is all perfect, it is usually the exact opposite. It is terrible. It is the opposite of perfect, and that is exactly what this movie is. The opposite of perfect, it's terrible. Let's talk about why you should avoid this movie. Where does this shit show start and end? Nicole Kidman. At the beginning of the movie, what we usually see from our hero or our protagonist is a save the cat moment. We want to see them do something good, something noble, so that we know that they're the good guy and that we should like them. Do we get a save the cat moment from Nicole Kidman's character? No, not at all. What do? We get that unpleasant aunt that has nothing nice to say about anyone and wants to gossip to everybody at family get-togethers when she drinks too much wine. And so when you're watching this movie and you find yourself wanting to root for the lead, you just can't, because she's a terrible human being. You know who you actually feel bad for in this movie, but you ought not to? Matthew Broderick's character, the husband, the man married to this executive. He seems like such a sweet guy. He wants to help his wife. He says, I quit the network so we can move out to the country so we can take care of you, you can feel better. What a swell guy. This is the guy who we want to be our hero. And the reason why I found it so effing cuckoo bananas that I was rooting for Matthew Broderick and not for our should-be protagonist, Nicole Kidman, is that this movie has strong roots in feminism as based on the original 1972 novel. The 1972 novel tackled the issues of women giving men consent, the nuclear family, women being submissive and docile versus going out and pursuing their careers. And don't get me wrong, this movie still attempts to tackle those issues, except it's like the writers were tossing darts at a dartboard and they couldn't even hit the effing dartboard, let alone the bullseye. The writers in this movie should have flat out ignored making it a comedy, mistake number 2, and should have just focused on remaking it as a sci-fi suspense thriller. It's very difficult to tackle issues of women's rights when you're making it a cheesy, stupid comedy that is entirely poorly written. How bad is the writing? Lend me your ears. When we watch movies, we understand there's going to be a certain level of fantasy. Otherwise said, you suspend some level of realism to allow the plot to move forward. Now in this movie, the realism we ought to be asked to suspend is that of the idea that it's possible to create fully functioning robots that look exactly like women that will pay attention and follow a man's every command. That's cuckoo bananas. So we're agreed, we're going to allow fake robot women to be married to men. Fine, let's move on. What is unforgivable when we watch a movie is to see a character who is more or less sane do something completely insane in response to something that happens.
Sarah? Oh, Mickey.
Yeah. I'm going up there.
Why?
Roger, I want some.
Roger.
Let me ask you, if you trespassed on someone's property and you heard them having sex, would you all of a sudden get a little horny and then want to go investigate and watch? Heck no, you want to get the heck out of there because you know this is not a place you want to be. And it's terrible writing like that over and over and over and over again, the movie, that make this thing sink. The only redeeming quality in this movie was the wonderful Bette Midler. She did an amazing job going from Roberta Markowitz, this Jewish writer, very successful, does whatever she wants, very carefree, lives messy, to this woman who is now the perfect wife robot. So far, I think it's been pretty clear what I think about this movie. It's like eating black licorice candy. I don't understand why anybody would ever do it, but I'm sure there's a couple people out there who enjoy it. If you are looking for a movie that is a great example of how not to remake a classic sci-fi thriller, this is a great movie for you. And if you are the 99.999% that's looking for an actually good sci-fi suspense thriller movie, avoid this one at all costs. This movie is terrible. 2 out of 10. Save your time, save your money. If you see a copy of this DVD, burn it, get rid of it. Avoid this movie. Now, if you enjoyed this review and you like hearing other reviews with some movie minutia, but also give you an idea of what's going on in those bad boys, subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you along for the ride. Cinephiles, that is my review of the Stepford Wives. I hope you have an amazing day. Catch you on the next one.